you're achieving great outcomes, right? So when you think through yourself in those positions, and of course, a lot of people you probably have at Figure and you've worked with over your time at Brex, you probably had a lot of salespeople or people on your teams who like claim they're working hard, but somehow are focused on the wrong things or not achieving great outcomes. It's like, how do you measure for yourself and then for others achieving great outcomes from the work that you put in? Once again, working hard, there's lots of people who claim they work hard, but they don't actually achieve anything. So when you were achieving the outcomes you wanted, you clearly were really successful at Brex in doing that, and clearly at Figure and everywhere else. And so everywhere you've been, not everyone does that, right? You've hired lots of people who work hard, but don't actually achieve outcomes. So how do you make sure outcomes are achieved in that hard work?
Yeah, it's a good question. I'd say it's prioritization and you just have to be able to naturally prioritize and understand what are the priorities, because there's not always going to be someone to tell you what they are. And I think as part of prioritization, it's knowing when it's knowing 80-20 and also when the 20 matters. And so that kind of embedded in prioritization. And then I think it's a lot of proactivity. I think that as a person, I can issue spot and kind of have this sense of when something's going to go wrong or might go wrong, and then kind of act in advance of that. And by stopping those problems up front, you do save a lot of time and become much more effective execution-oriented person.
Are there any heuristics you use to help you actually make, even today, right, not just your time early at Brex, to make that 80-20 rule or decide when to be proactive? Because still, probably one of your biggest decisions today in your job as CEO is deciding where to spend your time. So like, how do you make that decision? What are the right choices you make, and how do you make them?
Yeah, I think you spend your time based on, I use this framework of big rocks, which are like the things that we're focused on. And then from there, I look at the things that I think I have a unique ability, either as myself and my skill set or my position as CEO in this case, or then as COO, where I can break trade-offs and make decisions that are going to make us move much faster. And so just going back to kind of what I was talking about with the credit model at Brex, right? Like there is no right answer for that question. And I think this is where a lot of the things that I've been successful at come from. Like, how should Brex underwrite its, and this gets to the entrepreneurial question as well, how should Brex underwrite early stage startups that have no credit history? There is no answer to that question. And so you have to be willing to put yourself out there, use logic and ingenuity to come up with something and break trade-offs and do something different. And I think that just comes from within. So I do that all the time, and I'll do that. And typically when you see things that aren't moving in an organization, large or small, it's because people aren't willing to do something like that or don't know how. And that's where I feel like is the highest leverage place for me.
But you also need to create a culture where people feel like they can take that proactive step and make a decision. So like, obviously Brex had that. I assume you're trying to do the same thing at Figure, where people don't need to run through you all the time to get the answer. How do you create a culture where people can make those decisions and feel comfortable doing that without there being just constant like checks on what they do?
I think you create the culture by having a system of goals and measurement of those goals. And so if it's very clear what the goal is, like for Figure, most of our goals are volume based, right? At the end of the day, we're running a blockchain marketplace of loans, and we want that volume to go higher. And so if we're doing things that move that primary metric, that people are focused on that, and if we're able to measure it based on what they do, then there's not a lot of debate or involvement from me needed roughly there. I think it's when we're going to be setting other priorities beyond that, or projects that don't so clearly map, that you would have me again doing kind of what we were talking about before.